Hey guys, Kate Contreras, and this is my podcast, Simply You. And today I have a friend of mine, Nellie, on, and she is an entrepreneur, mom of three. She does all things, and she'll post videos that are the time lapse. And she's like, "This is the normal day," and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I thought I was busy." So she is here to join us and talk to us. So she is first and foremost, wedding planner. And then she has lots of other little things too that I will let her share with you guys. So welcome, Nellie. I'm so excited you're here. Tell us a little bit about all the things that you do.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's so good to reconnect. I love that I get to reconnect with people from my past life. Kate and I, we had kids together and Parents' Day Out. And it was always so fun to watch our families grow on the playground at drop off and pick up. But I am a wedding planner. First I have a 7-year-old, a 3.5-year-old, and an almost 7-month-old. I started a wedding planning business when I was in college 15, 20 years ago.
Which is crazy. Like, that's amazing.
I feel like that makes me feel really old, but so wedding planning, I do a lot of graphic design, lots of stationery design for weddings, and then also have some side clients that I work with on their branding, their website design, their marketing materials, and continuing to grow that part of my business. I am also a beauty counter consultant. Love getting safer beauty in the hands of others.
I used the oil. I love the baby oil.
Oh
and
my
I
God.
put that on Eliana last night after her bath. I love like doing the baby massage after showers.
Yes. They discontinued it, which is so sad. But like the cleansing balm is just like a miracle worker on any cut.
We have that too.
Yeah.
I alternate between the two.
All the things. Just lather them with oil and they'll be in good shape.
Exactly.
And then I also am a participant ambassador for Faster Way to Fat Loss. It's a program that I've been participating in for the past 3 years, and it's macro tracking and intermittent fasting, and it's worked really well with my lifestyle to be able to feel my best, look my best, and do all the things that I need to do while I balance motherhood and being an entrepreneur. So that's, I guess, me in a nutshell.
Okay. So let's start with what you started first. So how did you get into wedding planning?
So my family has owned a grocery store deli since 1887 in Kansas City. And I grew up, I remember when I was in probably first or second grade, do you remember those like little reception sticks from weddings? Like they had chocolate on the bottom and they were filled with candy, and it was like mint flavor and tangerine flavor and all these little things.
Yes.
And disposable cameras. So I remember going to Midland Theater and Drexel Hall and all these places, and that was my job, or putting out like Chex Mix on tables. And I just loved it. I loved everything about weddings. I particularly remember one at the Midland Theater. I actually have the photograph of myself with my aunt, my uncle, my parents, and my gram at that wedding. It was like an OG photo booth, sepia style, everything. I have my sidekick with me. And I just loved it. I loved how my aunt brought joy to other people's lives. And I would watch her back in the day of Microsoft Publisher. She would create like these flyers that we would get together on Sundays at my grand's house and assemble. It was called the Brown Crier. And mail out like on a quarterly basis about upcoming sales or holidays or all the different things, and helped her design websites through a publisher, and just like really enjoyed that no day in her life was ever the same. I would spend the night at her house. We'd go to the store. I remember working with my gram at the cash register and her asking like one of the longtime customers, Jim, "Hey Jim, how's the family? How's this going? How's this going?" And I just love the interaction that they had with other people. And even if it was just handing over a can of ice cold Coca-Cola, like how meaningful that was to both people.
Kind of the small town feel in the city.
And I just got hit with that bug. So it continued to grow. I would go to St. Patrick's Day parade board meetings with my aunt. In first grade, I threw a surprise baby shower for my first grade teacher.
Oh my gosh.
Now that I have a first grader who's no longer a first grader, like I just can't wrap my head around how in the world did he do that? Or did I do that at that age? But it's always been in my bones. You know, it's just, I've always enjoyed bringing joy to other people's lives, whatever capacity it might be. So I started doing a lot of weddings for sorority sisters while I was in college, and my cousins, and even stationery design for my sorority. I'd make the recruitment videos. I've always just kind of taken the things that I loved and started to make money doing it. And it snowballed, went to K-State, got a degree in hospitality management, worked in hotels, worked for catering companies. And I loved, what I didn't like about all of those is I was set to the boundaries that I was working in. Like the level of creativity was only as great as being in whatever venue I was at. So by being a wedding planner or an event planner, you can go anywhere with a clean slate and dream up the unthinkable. And that's what I love about what I do. The people and having the ability to be creative while also saying, nope, it's my kid's birthday, I'm not working today. So it's the greatest balance of all the things. Sometimes it's a painful balance, trying to do it all and make everybody happy, but I'm very fortunate that I can do what I love and be home with my kids at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, do you turn people away because business, you're just like, okay, I'm setting boundaries and I'm not going to take on X amount of clients, or I've hit my max so that I could still be a mom? Like, how do you balance that?
Yeah, right now, this season, unfortunately, so I've raised my pricing. Our average clientele when I first started my business was, their wedding budget was closer to $20,000 to $30,000. Our average client's budget right now is, $80,000 to $150,000 for a wedding. So with that,
I think my wedding was like 10 to 15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine was, it was in my earlier clientele range. And I just like, the more elaborate these weddings get, the more work they become. So because, back in the early days, I would do 30 weddings a year. Well, I want to be on the sidelines of my son's soccer game, or be able to go to K-State weekends, or go camping with our family, which we love doing. So I book a very limited number of weddings a year. All of it is by referral from other planners that I have aligned myself with, or past clients. So I'm getting that ideal client. So I take about 4 to 5 weddings a year. Right now I'm at like a little pause.
Wow. And you used to take 30?
I used to take 30.
And now you do 4 to 5. Okay.
4 to 5. This year is a little different just because we have a lot of COVID holdover weddings. So just in the month of May, we had 5 weddings, but it really tapers off. I have one next weekend, and then 4 the rest of this year. So just kind of balancing. When I don't take as many weddings, I take more stationery clients. I'm in the process of building a shop for my website for educating other stationers, other planners, and building some courses and some marketing materials and just worksheets and different things that have helped me in my success of my business to help other people. So what I love about what I do is there's so much that I do that it gives me the opportunity to pivot in whatever season of life that I'm at.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're just bobbing and weaving and making all the puzzle pieces fit together as I try to get at least a 7-month-old to walking stage before she goes to some sort of childcare.
Yes, yes. Now, when is your calendar typically set for the year, wedding wise? Or is that kind of, does that flow as well?
I'm kind of a let go and let God type of person. There's not much of a, I have a number in my head that I would like to hit. But I'm very fortunate that my husband does have a stable job. So it's like, okay, if I can't hit this number right now, maybe I'll do a pop-up shop to help me hit what I want in my head I need to hit that month. But we also, his income is like our monthly, like his income keeps us where we need to be. And mine is like our fun money or our house project money. Or so if I do more weddings, it means we can do more fun things like going on a family trip or like fixing our backyard. We have a pool in our backyard, or finishing our basement or things like that that will add to our lifestyle essentially. Or I stay home with the kids and those projects just get put on pause for a little bit. Or we end up doing it ourselves. Like we're both chiseling out some aggregate in the backyard right now because when I found out I was pregnant with Charlotte, I did not I stopped taking wedding planning clients. I've been very selective in what I'm taking, and I've taken on more stationery design clients because I can do stationery design in the middle of the night if she chooses to sleep. And I partner with
Or
a
if
lot
she's
of
screaming
planners.
in the background. I mean, nobody,
Right.
your
Nobody knows.
stationery doesn't
Nobody
care.
knows. But I partner with a lot of planners in Kansas City, so that I can have those conversations. Like before I got on the podcast with you, I talked to another planner about some of her stationery that she needs for a client. So it's kind of like they know that I have kids in the background. They kind of are that buffer. I can design, look at it, like, and kind of have like a mediator in between us to protect my home life. And then they can pass it on to their clients, which works out really well. She has a lot to say, doesn't she?
Oh, good thing I told my husband, I was like, I said, you can leave the middle child here. She can watch TV in our room, but you have to take the baby because she is so much louder than Charlotte with all of the things she has to say these days. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, and she's been a talker since the day she was born in the hospital. Like they thought that, and I had forgotten this. My mom said it the other day. She's like, well, she's been a talker since she was born. And I was like, really? She goes, remember, they thought maybe something was wrong with her because, and I don't even remember what it was, but if they are making like loud noises, kind of like that, when they're that little, it could mean something. She's totally healthy. Like she just has a lot to say. And she's the last one. She wants to make sure she's heard.
Right. That's Charlotte. Like last kid just wants to be heard. And if the other kids are going to be loud, I'm going to be louder.
Oh, yes. Yesterday, Ignacio was like, she just keeps like upping her decibels to get higher than the kids. Cause my other two are not quiet children. And so, yeah, she just gets louder and louder so that she's heard over them.
Yeah, that's us.
And one thing that we talked about yesterday was being real. Like, you know, I'm just anticipating when my husband's going to walk through that door back there with 2 of the 3 children. And that's life. And so, and you and I are very similar in not trying to hide that. And we don't have, in some positions, you do need to do that. When my husband's on meetings and on the escalation call, when people are really ticked off and he gets to deal with them after they've already talked to like 2 or 3 people before him, we cannot interrupt. Like that's, you know, so there's boundaries with that. But you and I are not in a position to where we have to go to an office or go somewhere closed off and not have any interruptions. So then your clients who come to you know, hey, this is my life and this is what's going to be happening, but you know, I'm going to be professional and show up for you. So then you get the clients that I don't want to say that you want to work with, but basically, and that appreciate and understand that like life happens and that you're balancing it all and you're still going to show up 100% for them and for your family. Right.
I really work, it comes naturally. I am just a very transparent human being in general, but I try to, most of our clients, they come word of mouth, they come from other planners, or they come from Instagram, and I post about my home. I post about my kids, and I feel like that is a reflection of my planning style and of who I am. I kind of think of like wedding planning as, yes, it's like hiring your creative best friend who has been through the process, you know, like it's kind of like sorority recruitment, like how you pay to have like-minded friends. There are so many talented planners in Kansas City. And I think, and we all work hard to almost have an even playing field of investment across the board. Like, okay, you could go with this planner, this planner, this planner. We're all going to price ourselves the same. But maybe you are a pediatric nurse and it makes sense to work with me because I have small kids and we can relate on that level. Or you love monograms and you're really like, you want to get married in Seaside, but it's just not doable. I'm probably your planner because we're going to make Seaside here in the middle of Kansas City. And there's other people that might gravitate towards more of an edgy, modern planner who doesn't have kids because that just fits better for their aesthetic. And I love that the planners in Kansas City are very much like on the same page. We all help one another to help those planners get exactly like what they desire, or help the clients get what they desire.
And that's a really good point. I've been in network marketing companies as well, and I still am in a couple. And I feel like we all felt like, and I don't think guys think this, but women think that there's only a certain amount that's not enough for all of us.
Right.
So if you're a planner and there's, 4 or 5 other planners in the same area, and Kansas City's not huge, you're not in LA. And it's like, oh my goodness, like I have to do what I can to get all these clients away from these people. And I was listening to Rachel Hall's podcast. I think it was just yesterday or the day before. And she said, there is enough to go around.
Yeah.
And if you build people up and you say, hey, you know what, you're wanting this Halloween, whatever, like that's not necessarily my jam. I'd love to work with you, but I think it might be a better fit if you worked with this person. And then, that person's going to go, hey, you're wanting this. I think it might be a better fit for you to go with this person. And then you're going to, everybody can share it, and there is enough to go around. And I think, I don't know if it's society or, the media or something that puts women against each other. We're all like, raise each other up, like, let's empower each other. But then when it comes down to it, like, you're going to brawl to get what you want because you feel like there's not enough. And I feel like that happens a lot. So I'd love to hear that you guys work really well together. And, and again, saying like, there's enough to go around. Like you book the amount of weddings that you plan to every year.
Yeah. There is like, my husband always like laughs at me. We'll be driving and I'll be like, oh my God, like, look at this whole neighborhood in the middle of Kansas. Like, look how many people are here at Arrowhead Stadium for the Garth Brooks concert. Look at all these people. And then I start thinking about it. I'm like, these people are all potential clients. They might not have the pockets to invest in my services, but they have the pockets to invest in someone's services. Like, we all speak fluent. There's a group of us that speak fluent wedding planning. There's a pocket of people that speak open heart surgery. I tell people I speak tables and linens and they might speak Spanish. That's just, we all have something that we are truly, truly good at and gifted at and knowledgeable of. And if we all help each other, we can all rise up, right? But I talk to other planners. I have many friends in other parts of the country, and Kansas City is very unique in that we all know there's a piece of the pie for everybody and we all want to help each other. Just this morning, it's 9:30 right now. I have talked to 5 other planners since the moment I woke up at 7:30. I'm on a text chain with some of my 4 best friends are planners in Kansas City.
Okay.
I do stationery for them. I refer clients to them. They refer clients to me. And we're all chatting about, does this venue have 6-foot tables or 8-foot tables? Hey, are you hearing from this hair and makeup artist right now? Because is she okay? We're all helping one another, which makes it a little less lonely when you are working for yourself, but also we can help one another. Another planner said, hey, I just booked this day of coordination client, which isn't a service that I offer. But she wants ginger jars and chinoiserie and blue and white. And I instantly thought of you because I feel like you would bring her stationery vision to life. And I love that people think Stationery, Ginger Jar, Nellie. Like those all are monogram. Like those all go in the same 5 categories together, which is pretty cool. And so that I can help her, that we can all like help one another is just, I don't know if you're part of the Rising Tide Society on Facebook.
Mm-mm.
It's a group of creatives. It was really popular maybe 5-6 years ago. And I feel like it kind of goes in ebbs and flows, but their mantra is community over competition. And there is a chapter here in Kansas City that meets on a monthly basis. And I think this next month they're talking about like diversifying your income. But it's really cool, like how you can go and have a photo booth company and a photographer and a planner and a florist and like maybe a personal fitness trainer. Like all these people sit around a table together and talk about how can we diversify our income? How can we help one another to grow our businesses and work well together? So I think there's strength in numbers and strength in community.
Okay, send that to me. Send that info to me. That totally sounds like my jam.
But I look at, so I grew up in Olathe, which is a suburb of Kansas City. My dad's family practiced physician. My mom's a social worker at the local hospital, and I went to a private school. And I still like, I feel like people, it's a big, small city. And if you're not kind to people and you burn bridges, like I wouldn't have a successful business. And I remember that like being out at back when we had Dillon's in Kansas City, like if you picking up a VHS with a friend, you better be on your best behavior because you never know when one of my dad's patients or a church member or somebody would see you misbehaving at Dillon's. Like you just like, you never know. So if you are just kind and you build others up, you never know how it's gonna like come back and help you later on in life.
And that's a good point too. And I think that, and again, this is my experience. I don't know if this is like normal for that everybody kind of feels this too, but a lot of times I feel like people will give in order to receive.
Right.
And when you go in it that way, that's not going to work. Like you have to be genuine about, hey, Nellie, I really think that you are the person for this. Maybe we can make a trade. Like it's not a, it's just like, I want to do what's best for the client, and the best for the client is Nellie, or the best for the client is this other person.
Exactly.
Versus, what can I get from you? So I'm going to, and it's different in networking. I mean, there's, I definitely have, with my podcast, looked at people that have a decent following that could, help people come to my podcast. I'm not making any money. I just want to spread the word.
Right.
But also people that I know, it would benefit them too, because, we have different circles of friends and people and things. And so if people that know you and follow you, get onto this podcast with the two of us, then they'll see maybe a friend of mine that I did a podcast with and go, oh, wow, she, I want to meet with this person. Like, it's all networking. And so there's definitely a fine line between I'm going to do this for you in order to receive versus we both can help each other out. Again, I'm not making any money off of my podcast. I just love to do it. I just want to spread the word and help my friends. Like, I'm not a wedding planner. And, so if people can listen to this and go, oh my goodness, like I didn't even know that Nellie existed, and I think she might be perfect for me. That's what I'm here to do. And I think if you have that mindset and you're genuine in your heart, that's when everybody just works together and people are kind, and it makes for a better world.
It does. We can all kumbaya, and it's like that Michael Jackson song, Make the World a Better Place.
Yes.
Like I talk to my son always about, I think we talked yesterday about Emily Lay, and she did a podcast on, I'll send this one to you. She interviewed her son Brady about how to be an includer. And I love that. And when Michael goes to school, I'm like, okay, don't forget to be an includer. Maybe this kid is acting this way because he feels like he doesn't fit in or he needs a friend. Like, how can you make sure he feels loved today? And I think if we can all reach out to those people that need a little bit of love, maybe the world will be a better place. Like,
absolutely.
kids in our neighborhood that sometimes I'm like, yeah, come into my house. Let me give you a popsicle, please. Like if I can love on you, maybe that's what you needed today to be a
Mhm.
more loving kid.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's what your heart yearns for. So if we can all like help one another, I feel like the world is very, I cry and get emotional, which is odd, but like I just feel like it's a different place, and maybe social media has made it different. We're a lot more connected than ever before, but there's a lot more violence than I ever remember as a kid.
Oh,
And
yes.
how can we at like the grassroots, like mom level, teach our kids to be better kids so that maybe these kids that do feel like they want to harm themselves or harm others don't do that.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's the root of my business is if I can love and if I can spread joy, maybe it'll make other people love and spread joy too
Yeah.
and
I
make the
love
world
it.
a brighter place.
I love that. Okay, so one of my like burning questions for you is why hire a wedding planner versus just doing it yourself? I definitely did it myself. I'm building my own house, and I definitely realize why you would want to hire a general contractor to build your house instead of doing it yourself.
Right.
But you know, it's a learning process. So, why do people come to you?
I feel like it's the same situation, very similar in building a house. You know, like they're going to know codes, they're going to know like electrical. Obviously, like you have your Pinterest hopes and dreams and your Pinterest board that you want this wastebasket to look a certain way in your kitchen. And that's great. But like maybe we know things, you know, we've been to these venues, we've coordinated with these florists, and we know that with 300 people at a June wedding in Kansas City outside after your ceremony, you need pre-poured beer and wine because your people are thirsty. And otherwise, they're going to be sitting in line for 45 minutes during cocktail hour to get that beer and wine. And so there's a double component to wedding planning. It's the creative side, which like maybe the bride has a creativity, but she doesn't always know the logistics. Like just like
Absolutely.
and especially during the pandemic, again, the community in Kansas City, we were all texting one another. Okay, what does being on the state line, you know, if we couldn't get married in Jackson County, could we get married in Johnson County? Did we need to jump to another venue? And we could all text or get in a Facebook group that our clients didn't have access to say, okay, which weddings can we get at these country clubs? Or where do we need it? What do we need to do? So it's like we have this instant ability to bob and weave. I have the rental companies, all three of them on speed dial and very good relationships with them. So if we did get shorted a linen like we did a couple of weeks ago in May at Union Station, I called the owner of Ultra Palm and I'm like, Carolyn, I'm short linens. Like these linens that we thought would work wouldn't. And she gave me the code to their rental company to go in and get the linens if I needed them. So I feel like there's just so much behind the scenes that a planner can help you with that you wouldn't normally think about.
Nor do you have to stress about.
Nor do
Like
you have
that's
to
what
stress
I'm
about.
hearing.
Yeah,
For
like
me personally, is like
your
I don't have
job,
to
there's
think
so
about it.
much involved in wedding planning. Like we have family coming in from out of the country for next weekend's wedding, and that mom wants to love on that family well. She hasn't seen them in years. I mean, she wants to put on the show of Kansas City, and her job should not be how are we getting the seating chart and the bud vases and the candy display and all the little things that we have so purposely and intentionally decided on. Who's going to get that to the venue and set it out? Who is going to make sure that our people from Canada and Ireland are going to get on transportation when they need to get to the ceremony? Because I mean, this is a whole different world than what they're used to. So she can focus on loving her people well, loving her daughter and being in the moment with her daughter versus like all the behind the scenes that we can focus on for her.
And then she's not even going to realize the things that you were scrambling to do for her. She won't even know because
No.
all she knows is, hey, it got put together.
Right. A couple weeks ago, we were cutting apart cardboard boxes into 2-inch by 2-inch squares to stick under 30 30 tables, 4 legs each, to level them up to other tables because our tables were not even. And because it was like a family style wedding with long tables versus rounds. And so we had enough of like the 8-foot tables, but we needed to bring in another table to make it wide enough for the charger and the flowers and all the things. Well, they didn't, there was like a lip. So that's stuff we do that I don't think the client still knows about, but like, who else is going to do it? You know,
Right.
who would have done that? That would have made, mom wouldn't have made it to the wedding. Aunt wouldn't have made it to the
Right.
wedding because they would have been cutting apart cardboard to stick under 30 tables.
Yeah.
So peace of mind, I feel like a navigator, a
And
cruise
enjoying it thoroughly versus having to have the stress on top of planning for the family and those things, like having the
Right.
stress of, okay, now we need to figure this out and that out. And like you said, the contacts that you have.
Right.
And it is just like building a house. I mean, I can say, this is what I envision, this is what I want, but it may not work.
Right.
So we have to work together to figure it out, but I may not know how to pivot, like you said, pivot.
Yeah.
Still make what I'm envisioning happen.
Right. Like in a house, building a house is a huge investment, obviously, and it's a one-time shot. And a wedding is a huge investment and it's a one-time shot. Like you don't really get a do-over. In a house, you could tear apart the wall and stick in an electrical socket if you wanted it somewhere, but do you really want to? And same thing with their wedding day. Like you get one day and you need to trust a professional to help you to ensure like you're not, I don't know, regretting anything. I talk to a lot of photographers that'll say it's so much smoother when we have a planner because the mother of the bride and the bride are focused and it purely like there's pure joy and excitement in their eyes when we're taking pictures, where if they don't have a planner, they're like out of the corner of their eyes, like, oh my gosh, is Aunt Beth setting this as I want? And then it causes like family relation issues down the, like resentment down the road if Aunt Beth didn't do what the bride told her to do. Otherwise, like if I didn't do it, I wanted to, and I might have made a judgment call based on my professional experience, but that bride can take it out on me instead of a family member, which I'd rather.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as we're talking, like, I feel like it's like a hairstylist, like and a lot of them are just like, oh my gosh, these people come in and they want this exact, like they find this picture on Pinterest or whatever, and they want their hair exactly like this, but like your hair is different. It's a different texture. It's a different, like whatever. And
Right.
then they can help you get to what you want that works for you.
Right.
So why would you try to do it yourself?
Yeah. Okay. Have you heard of House of Color? This is a completely off topic, but relatable thing. House of Color. So their headquarters are here in Kansas City, and they like look at you, they drape you in all white, and they're like, okay, what makes you look your best? Like, are you a winter color palette? Are you a summer color palette? Spring, fall? It's fascinating. So I did this in March, like as I'm starting to get back into like pre-baby clothes, like what's going to work best for me? Like, what is my color palette? Because I want to look polished and professional when I get my new wardrobe. And I learned that I am a winter, like bright whites like I'm wearing today is going to make me look more awake, even if I haven't slept. My hair was very brassy and like kind of like not a good shade of blonde highlight. So I was able to like say, hey, this is what my hair needs to be. And my hairstylist knew what I was talking about, and it was able to color my hair to make it help me like look my best. And I feel like it all wraps around, but I'm going to send you House of Color because it blew my mind. Like,
that's so cool.
I've started wearing clothes in my color palette, and I'll go out to the coffee shop and people are like, oh my God, you look great. Or my neighbors are like, you've lost so much weight. And it's not that I've lost like weight. I mean, I'm not 9 months pregnant anymore, but
right.
I'm wearing clothes that flatter me and that are my best color and my best look, and I'm looking and feeling my best. But like the same thing, like, yes, your hairstylist knows, like when I tell her this is what's going to make me look my best, Like Pinterest is a great inspiration for house building, weddings, hair, but it is not like, it might not be authentically you. And through conversations with those professionals, you're going to learn what is authentically you, so that you're not having a house that feels not you and not comfortable, or you're not rocking a head of platinum blonde hair that doesn't belong on your head, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I want to be able to go to a stylist and say, hey, here's a picture that I found. I think it's super cute. This is kind of what I'm thinking, but like, you're the professional, you do you.
Right. Like, make me beautiful.
So they have like, you know, starting point, and then it may be, you know, very different from what I showed them, and it like works.
Right.
And same with a wedding planner. This is what I'm envisioning. Okay, I don't know how to execute it. You go make it happen.
Right. And will it even fit in my budget? Like, this is what I'm envisioning. I have a bride who wants all white chairs, but like at $12 a chair, that's not fitting in her budget. So how can we fix the chairs that are in this venue to give you your white, bright, airy look without these brown like wood chairs that work for some people, but not this one.
Right.
So we're going to chair cover some chairs and bring in white chairs for the head table. And that is, instead of spending $5,000, we're spending $1,000 and still helping her achieve the look that she wants.
Wow.
Stuff like that. Like, we know how to help them achieve their look and stay within their budget.
And where and what to cut to
Right.
stay within the budget, versus all of a sudden you get close to the end and you're like, oh, now I have to cut this because I went over budget on these things.
Exactly. And it's just like what we were talking about yesterday, you know, building a house. There are unexpected expenses like a foundation, or like flowers going up, or I mean, supply chain shortage is still very, very real.
Oh yeah.
On the wedding world and across the board. Like flowers, some weeks peonies will be wholesale $9 a stem, and other weeks they're trying to offload coral charm peonies at $2.50 a stem. Like, you just bob and weave, and you trust the professionals. You hire the right people to make what you need, like your desired look, come to fruition.
Now, do you work with do you have a group of photographers that you try to book, or do you have like a specific photographer that does all of your weddings?
I have a curated list of my go-tos that I enjoy working with, because I think at the end of the day, you want your wedding planning team to work as a unit. And there are about 5 photographers that I truly love working with, because they reflect my brand. They know my timelines. They know how I work. They know that we do a lot of pivoting behind the scenes. But we have fun together. And I feel like when your planner and your photographer and your videographer team have fun together, you're going to have fun. You're going to enjoy your wedding day. Like, we had an outdoor wedding a couple weeks ago, and it was so hot. I mean, like, sticky. There was sweat in places nobody needs to know about. And then we had tornado warnings. It was all the things. But like, the photographer, we all stayed in the basement of this venue because it was much cooler in the basement while everyone's upstairs. And the photographer's like, okay, me and my second photographer, we're doing lifeguard duty right now, like 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, so they can come downstairs and get a breather and drink their water, get hydrated, and go upstairs. But we all communicated together. She'd be like, okay, we're going to bring out the glow sticks soon because the band is getting ready to take a break. So then I could go up with the glow sticks and toss them off the stage for everybody. Like, we all work together to create. Seamless. Yeah, so it's seamless. And it made, like, I look back on that day and it was so much fun for me. Like, when you're working a 14, 15-hour day and it is so hot and you barely have a minute to eat something other than like an Equate protein shake, you need to work in an environment that you enjoy the people you work with. Now, that's not to say we do work with other photographers, but it is a much more seamless process when we work with vendor partners that we have vetted over the past 15, 20 years of my business.
Well, and I think that when you have a team that works well together, I think that you see it in the end result and production of the wedding. And
Yes.
also if you do have, pictures and a videographer, like, I don't know, I just feel like the energy like will come out in those pictures and in that video, when everybody's working together and everybody's happy and having a good time versus everybody doing their own thing and just.
Right. And it's gotten to the point, so years ago, I started working with specific florist and photographer, and we did styled shoots together to like be able to showcase like what we could do, what we were capable of. So we will have brides that come to us and say, okay, Nellie, we're hiring you, and we know we want this photographer and this florist based on what you've done. And when I put that on Instagram, like they almost know we are a package deal. Essentially, they know that we will bring something beautiful to the table because they have seen how we work together. How a photographer captures your flowers might not be how they were in real life because there is editing, and like, how do you want your pictures to look on your desk at the workplace after your wedding? And they see it through Instagram. They see how we collaborate together, and they know that is the look and the feel and what they want on their wedding day. Or they also trust me enough to say, like, I have a brand, they know, they come to me, they get light, bright, airy, just effortless, timeless wedding. And so they know, okay, we've hired Nellie. She's going to make this happen, and she's going to bring to life these players to bring this vibe to life. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's so fun. What a fun job to have.
It's so fun. It's the part, like, I mean, it's beautiful. The 9 squares on Instagram show it as like gorgeous, right? But there's still not like small fires, like dumpster fires to put out, right? Like when there's
it's like a duck.
Yeah, I described
everybody else sees this yesterday. And you're behind the scenes doing this.
I mean, my legs are constantly paddling because especially if a sitter is sick, we have to pivot and do things online, or maybe linens aren't available that they dreamed of, and we have to figure out how to make that happen. Or you lose our New Year's Eve wedding. We had over 40 people cancel the week of the wedding because of COVID or COVID exposure. And they're out that money because the catering company has already ordered all the alcohol and the food, and the florist has already ordered the flowers. And, there are a lot of times where I am constantly putting out fires. And I told this to a friend a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I need to nourish myself. I need to be able to get my sleep, to eat well, to be rested, to work out. Like, I need to fulfill myself and hydrate myself so I can have the hydration to put out these fires. Because it depletes you. It's exhausting. And I still need to be able to put out the fires there, to put out the fires at home, and to live and love everybody well. But it is fun to work. I feel like when you work with the team, you can achieve anything and put out those fires effortlessly. But it's when we are working at a place that you're unfamiliar with that there are more fires to put out.
Now, what's your like slow season?
I feel like it ebbs and flows with my like season of life with my kids. Like you would think right now, stationery would be really slow for me. However, I am prepping and assembling and proofing and all the things for September, October, November invitations to go out in the mail. Creating seating charts and programs and all the things for we're in July, August, September weddings. And we're ordering linens for September weddings. We're doing mock-ups for October weddings. Like, there is no slow season. December.
Okay. So even if you have like no weddings in a month or two, that doesn't mean that you're not doing all the things for the weddings coming up.
Right. Like, I might be working more during the weekdays and have weekends off, or evening meetings right now. And then come fall, I'll have more weekends on. So it's like, but May, I mean, we had 5 weddings in May, and it was just like, talk about a duck trying to stay above water. It was a combination of prepping for June, July, August weddings with their invitations while being the boots on the ground in May to do all the things that needed to happen for those weddings in May, like finalizing entrees and floor plans and linens and all the things for those weddings, while also multitasking and prepping for these weddings this summer.
And still a wife and a mother of 3.
Right. That too. But then like fall, you know, I know it's going to be, I say slower. It can be slower. Kansas City is known to have a very busy October and a very busy May, just because we know it's so hot in June and July that we don't see as much happening. Although with the pandemic, a lot has shifted because people are just trying to get married. So I feel like response times from any vendor is slower because we all have a heavier workload than we've ever had before. And life looks different. You know, we're working at home with our spouses now, much more than we were before, or our kids are home much more than they were before. Like I think about our Parents Day Out program that we used to use closed after the pandemic. So that took out half of my childcare. For me, there is no slow season. When it's slowish, I pick up other work. I pick up branding work, or I do Christmas cards for clients or birth announcements, or I try to keep I don't know if I try to keep myself busy. I never have like white space in my calendar.
Okay.
That sounds nice though. What is white space?
Yeah. How boring.
How boring.
Now, how much work do you turn down? Do you have to turn down because of being so busy?
Yes. Right now I have probably 10 inquiries in my inbox that I need to respond to, which I hate saying. But I know I want to serve my clients well, and I want to serve my family well. And right now at this season of life, I know I have 2 days a week of childcare and some pretty intense weddings coming up this fall. And I cannot onboard another client and take them to venues and sit and look at china with them with the level of childcare that I have and the time, like the commitments I already have to currently contracted clients. So when the girls get a little older and I do have a little more freedom, I can open up those books. But I've also really honed in on my processes to say, like, we have a lot of clients that are from out of town. So they'll come in one day and we'll do their engagement session in the morning with the photographer. We'll go to the venue, we'll do their floral mock-up. I'll bring in 3 different linens, set up like different tables, bring in the stationery, bring in the florist, and we just knock it all out essentially in one day, which is great for me for time management, but it's also great for the client because they don't always get time off. You know, a lot of our clients are medical students or teachers. And so summertime is when they're choosing to get all their stuff done. So we have a wedding that's been on my books since September, pre-Charlotte. So like 18 months at least. And her wedding isn't until September 2023. But we are doing everything at the end of this month so that this next year, she is going to enjoy every bridal shower, every bachelorette party. She's getting ready to start a new job in Texas as a surgeon, I believe. Like, she's not going to have, like, this is her time in between residency and going into practice. So that way she can go into her job and know that we've talked through all the details. We've helped her achieve her look. We'll be the little ants on the ground marching while she's doing what she needs to do in her professional life.
That's awesome.
It's like, I love when we're able to do all of it in one day. Because I feel like you get, you know, building a house, you probably have decision fatigue, right? Like, you're like, oh my God, all the things like grout and I don't know what type of like doors do I want in my kitchen. So if we can present it and like, here's A, B, and C, do you want to mix and match C with B? And like, how do we bring this to life? It helps make the process easier for them. They walk away feeling good about their decisions, and we have a game plan to move forward. It's so fun.
I love it. I love it.
You should come with me to one of our design meetings.
Oh
There's-
my goodness.
there's-
Oh, I would love it so much.
And then we're able, like for this one, the wedding September 2023, we're able to bring in flowers that are seasonal in September. She's able to taste the seasonal risotto that venue is going to have at that time because we're doing it
In
a year
September
out.
2022
In September
for her wedding in 2023.
2023. Yeah.
Oh,
Isn't
that's
that
amazing.
fun?
Yes. That's
She looks
awesome.
big from her nap. She snoozed our whole call.
Yeah.
And now she's awake.
Yeah. Well, I want to respect your time. And this has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining me and having a conversation. And I can't wait to get this out there and educate people on why they would want a wedding planner and why they want you.
Well, thank you so much. It was so good to connect with you. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You guys too. Bye, Charlotte.
Bye.